It's time for the Game 3 State of Origin preview. Now, before we get going here, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of the NRL or AFL action going forward. Now, in this preview, I'm going to break down the game in a few different areas. We're going to look at the back three of both teams, check out the defense of New South Wales, especially in Game 2. Look at the completion rates of both teams and how that's affected their games, and then what adjustments could possibly come in Game 3. Now, if you don't want to listen to all my waffle of State of Origin Game 3, then check out the description. There's timestamps there. Just scroll back and forth to whatever you want to listen to. But by all means, stick around for the next couple of minutes and get on the journey for Game 3 of the 2024 State of Origin. Now, the first number I want to jump on here is the head-to-head trends. Queensland have won 2 of the last 3 Game 3s and also 2 of the last 3 deciders. So they're coming into this one with an advantage in that situation and have the veteran presence of guys like Cherry Evans, Ben Hunt in similar situations to guide their team to a victory. Looking at Suncorp Stadium, Queensland hold a 39-20 advantage in the head-to-head at Suncorp Stadium. We all know how the crowd gets up there in Queensland. It's going to be a tough environment for New South Wales to come into, especially in a Game 3 decider. One of the biggest advantages that New South Wales have had over the first 2 games is the run meters, especially from the back three. So in the first game, it was Tedesco, and then Game 2, obviously, Dylan Edwards, Brian Toto, and Zach Lomax all combining for a monstrous amount of run meters. So in Game 2, 459 run meters from Edwards, Toto, and Lomax. In Game 1 with Tedesco there, 539. So you could see Queensland trying to limit the amount of run meters that those 3 were getting, because they're breaking through tackles, putting New South Wales on the front foot, setting the platform essentially for them to continue rolling down the field. If you look at the Queensland back 3, in Game 1, 454 run meters from their back 3, reduced to just 285 in Game 2, and it was only Murray Taulagi that actually ran for more than 90 meters of any of the backs for Queensland in Game 2. So that is something that Billy Slater will definitely be looking to adjust to in Game 3, locking down the back 3, not kicking to them, to giving them an opportunity to run the ball out of their own end and getting their own backs, Selwyn Cobbo, Dane Gagai, now Val Holmes on the wing, and especially Reece Walsh, more meters out of their own end, more involved in the game. So another stat I want to touch on here is kick meters and completion rates. Now we know kicking long out of your own end is a fantastic way to turn the other team around, get them running, and then try and get your defense down there to restrict and lock the other team in their own end. But for a team like New South Wales that have 3 of the best ball runners in the game, it's not always the best tactic, I guess, for Queensland to kick the ball long and try and restrict the players there. And we've seen a very big drop-off in kick meters in Game 2 for Queensland. It could have also to do with the rush-up defense that New South Wales put on Queensland, restricting the ability for them to kick. But we see that Tom Dearden didn't take 1 kick in general play in Game 2, and they kicked for almost 200 meters less, the Queensland team, than in Game 1. If we look at completion rate, New South Wales had a 91% completion rate in Game 2. Now, we know across the whole NRL season, a completion rate, an average completion rate, isn't a major factor in winning or losing, but in individual games, it's massive. If you can hold the ball for your own team, not give the other team a chance to do anything with the ball, you have a much better chance of winning. Queensland were pushing passes, making errors, and it led to them having only a 71% completion rate in Game 2. New South Wales had a great completion rate as well in Game 1, but they were already behind the 8 ball, so to speak, with Queensland putting the tries on early. So something to think about around kick meters and completion rates heading into Game 3. Now, the last point I want to touch on before we get into the tips is around missed tackles, defense, and adjustments for the teams. Now, we've seen in Game 1 that the Maroons were able to run for 1,635 run meters compared to New South Wales 1,519. That reduced greatly in Game 2 as New South Wales defense sped up quickly on the outside, suffocated the Queensland attack, and didn't allow them to run at all. So they only ran for 1,095. So that's 600 meters less in game 2 for Queensland compared to game 1. And again, that up and in your face defense, and you could see it all game. The centers, the wingers, the second rowers were flying up on the outside. You could see visibly frustrated in the game. Cherry Evans, Deard and Walsh, that they couldn't use the ball pretty much in any direction. A fantastic tactic from New South Wales in defense to get up in the face of the Queensland team. Looking at missed tackles in game 1, both teams had very high numbers of missed tackles, over 40 each. Now, it's always going to happen in such a tough arena as State of Origin. You have game breakers that break almost always the first tackle in almost all runs they have. So the numbers are going to be a little bit higher. But New South Wales in game 2 reduced their missed tackle rate down to just 20, which is a fantastic effort for them. Queensland again up around that 44 mark. Line breaks, six each in game 2, but in game 1, 8 line breaks to 1 for Queensland. So missed tackles and line breaks aren't really connected in the number, but you will see whenever there's an opportunity, the teams are very good at breaking that line and getting maybe a pass on the outside to break through the line to get someone behind the play and get the ball rolling. Looking back to adjustments now, and we've seen that Queensland were able to adjust late in the first half to the up and rushing style of New South Wales defense. Queensland were able to actually run for almost double the amount of run meters in the second half of game 2 than they were in the first half. I think that Queensland were a little bit late to make the adjustment to get around how New South Wales was structuring their defensive attack. But in game 3, I think we'll see both Madge Maguire and Billy Slater be very responsive to any tactics in the game, because it's the decider. You need to be able to adjust on the fly if your team is any chance of getting a win in this one. Now it's time to get to the tips. Now, if you have your own tips, let me know what they are in the comments. I'm excited to hear, interesting to see what other people think about this game. If my predictions or analysis is a little bit off, then let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you think. I'm going to take Queensland to win this one. It's a decider. It's at Suncorp. Cherry Evans, Ben Hunt, the veterans that have been there before and done it. I think it's going to get them over the line, and especially with this Queensland crowd, it's going to be a really hostile environment for New South Wales to come in here. I think also that Billy Slater will be able to make better adjustments quicker than what Michael Maguire will be able to do for the New South Wales team. And not having Latrell Mitchell is a pretty big loss for them. He was amazing in game 2, lifted the team. You could see them all getting around each other off the back of his individual performances. Bradman Best is a great player, but he's no Latrell Mitchell. If we're looking at try scorers, it's hard to go past Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow for Queensland and Zach Lomax for New South Wales. Now, the Hammer has scored in every single game of Origin he's played. He's actually scored 7 tries in the 5 games he's played. And at home, you'll be sure to see him backing up through the middle for any sort of break and trying to get all his might over that line for a try. Zach Lomax has scored 11 tries for the Dragons this season and has scored 3 tries already in this series. So if New South Wales are across, you can be guaranteed that he will be on the end of a swinging backline play. Now that's game 3, State of Origin. Enjoy the game and don't forget to gamble responsibly.